Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and in the studio across the table is, of course, the talent, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, do you notice the table is longer?
I do.
And how
God.
are you, sir?
I can't smell you anymore.
And I haven't hit my legs.
Yeah, good.
Fucking kneecap bangers. God. Who is this table for when the leaf is not in it?
No fucking
I had
idea.
to like horse saddle this fucking end of this table down here. No kilts.
Yeah,
no
right.
kilts
Well.
allowed.
Actually, maybe kilt required.
I'll lower those cameras a little bit. Get a little undercarriage.
Ew. So Josh, what did you just do?
Oh my God! Really, you're gonna make me relive this?
I'm gonna make you relive it right now.
I have like probably a dozen SD cards, and we filled all of them up plus all the ones we bought at the 2-day event.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going through them. So I took 2 cards, transferred all of the information off of both of those cards onto my external hard drive,
Mm-hmm.
so I could wipe the cards and use them for the camera, and spent 20 minutes waiting for them to do that. And then I erased my external hard drive completely.
I was so glad I got to be here for
Oh,
that,
my
because I think that's the quietest it's ever been in this fucking thing. Because you said, "Oh fuck," and I'm like, "What'd you do?" You're like, "I need a minute." I'm like, "Oh." I was like, "That's not good."
Yeah. So I just,
Just wiped 5 years worth of data.
Yeah.
All right.
This is gone. And now I'm drinking. So, fuck me.
Oh, I'm glad I got to be here for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, my God.
I like it. I like that we're both in that state right now, because both of our lives are just fucking
Chaos.
We've got a lot going on, and like, I'm glad that you brought up the fact that you're having cognitive function issues, because so am I. Like, constantly forgetting. I told people things. I'm constantly forgetting things. I constantly lose track of what I'm doing, and I'm like, I honestly think that, you know, for whatever the years of hard living that I have behind me, but also just there comes a point where you take on too much.
Yeah.
I got fucking work. We're dealing with some fucking high dollar contracts right now. I'm coaching football again, buying a fucking house, moving the girlfriend from San Francisco, fucking, you know, dealing with the podcast, there's so much shit going on all at the same time. And I'm just like, the gerbil fell off the wheel, you know, and he's having a hard time getting back on the fucking thing. And so,
yeah, Katie will be probably glad, because she brought it up the other day. She is legitimately worried about me, because I'll say I'm pretty sharp most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what's going on. My cognitive function is usually pretty high, and I am.
here's that wall. It's like, you know, especially when we were younger and we had a lot less responsibilities, it was a lot easier. You know, most of the time when you hit a wall, it was easy to see because it was physical capability, right? Like, you worked yourself to, you know, you were fucking spent. You were done. And now I got to try and pick up clues on how my cognitive function is failing, which when your cognitive function fails, it's harder to realize things. And so I'm like, well, that's weird that I just forgot this thing. Oh, and I forgot this thing, and I forgot this thing. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's strange. Maybe I need to fucking correct something.
You erase
Yeah.
1.5 terabyte of data. It's just gone. Just
in
gone.
the ether.
There's no recovery, no restoring, and that has been fucking par for the course for probably the last 3 weeks for me.
Yeah.
It has just been me banging my head against the wall, trying to get my 2 brain cells to high five so I can think of something.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit on the fucking couch and I'm going to watch Archer until I go to bed, which I had never seen before, by the way.
Oh, you have, dude, Archer is the shit.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
It's fucking so quick-witted.
Oh, it's hilarious. And it crosses all the boundaries.
It does.
So I'd never seen Archer before. So I've been enjoying that, and it's allowed me to kind of mentally detach in the evening so I can go to sleep.
Yeah. Speaking of crossing boundaries, did you watch the Tom Brady roast?
No, I have not.
Oh my God. We are back, dude. It was so fucking
It's 3
brutal.
hours long.
Dude, it's I mean like you need like the first hour, but
Okay.
make sure you see Nikki Glasser and Hinchcliffe and those guys. Like they're, I mean, it's a bunch of fucking killers up there, but just no holds barred. And I like Hinchcliffe, you know, he got interviewed afterwards, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they told me not to make fun of this, this, and this. Did they not realize they brought a fucking killer into the room?" And because I mean, he's like one of the best roasters of all time,
Gotcha.
and he just fucking murdered. And it's good to see, because it's like, okay, maybe we're not the fucking pussified culture, you know, like people are getting back to, you know, not everything's offensive.
So the real book was just out the window for that roast. Yeah,
and they
that's awesome.
just fucking destroyed Tom Brady. Yeah.
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 I've seen some of clips of some of the interviews that he did after the roast.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually, I mean, I think he appreciated it overall. One comment he said in one of his interviews, he's like, yeah, he's like, that's now out there for my kids to see,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But it seemed like he was all for it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check it out, because
Yeah.
I know Kevin Hart was on there, and Nikki Glasser was on there, and the lineup looked impressive.
Yeah. Schultz was on there, Segura, fucking Kreischer. Like,
Yeah, that's
fucking
good.
killers, dude.
Was
like,
Anthony Jeselnik on there? God, he was one of the fucking funniest.
no, but I don't know how I don't know how he'd do it a roast though. Like his delivery style is a little like low and slow. Like I don't think that's good for like destroying someone's
That's
soul.
fair.
You know,
He has done a roast before. I don't know who it was, but his comedy makes me
oh
laugh.
yeah,
It is
his
ruthless.
delivery is amazing too.
It's
Yeah,
fucking ruthless.
yeah.
You can even say shit that he says. It's just it's fantastic. So he makes me laugh. But has Bill Burr ever done a roast?
I think he's too fucking angry that people take him too seriously. You know, like
Which he's also like one of the monsters. I
oh,
mean,
dude, and I mean he's
great.
such a good ranter. You know, like he's so good at ranting that it's like I don't know if that's a space he would want to be in. You know,
Yeah. I've not. I don't know if I've ever really watched a roast.
he
fully,
like
but
I mean, but if you watch him, especially in interviews, he just did an interview with Bill Maher, and Bill Maher starts spouting some fucking political shit, and Bill Burr's just like, "Shut the fuck up! No, you're not. You holier than thou, motherfucker." And it was great, you know. But I think that's just the constant for Bill Burr, just calling people out on their shit, including himself. You know, like that's his thing.
Yeah, definitely. He seems angry all the time. It makes
Fucking
so
wound
funny.
up middle-aged white guy, you know.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, but yeah, I'll have to check it out. I've seen it on there, and I've considered watching that roast of Tom Brady. So I'll have to spend the time.
Yeah.
and do it. I think the last stand-up that I watched was Chris Rock after
the Will Smith thing.
and that fucking stand-up was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was It was so perfectly scripted. Like, I mean, his jokes, his delivery.
Even the way he burned Will Smith. Too.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
It was so good.
Beautiful. It was one of the best
Yeah.
stand-ups that I've seen.
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. So I try not to spend too much time on TV, but I do like to laugh. So
Yeah. Do you really, Mr. Fun
I
over
was
here?
gonna say, which is
Ray of fucking
probably,
sunshine.
probably shocking to most people. Oh, man.
Do you know who the best to watch fucking comedy and funny movies with is? Is your fucking brother.
Oh yeah,
Dude, he is the best person to watch movies with. Because he just gets you laughing, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Becca both.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Old giggle tits.
Yeah, as long as she's not asking questions.
Right.
Last weekend, Memorial Weekend. Of course, I always go up to VC and I kind of hang out with the old guys, and they were in town, and we were actually at the Tahoe House. And one of the other guys that I know, who's a carpenter up there, and also does the is it the Sutra Tunnel?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the tours and manages. He's like the groundskeeper for the Sutra Tunnel and stuff. Anyway, really interesting guy. Spencer is his name. And this is reference of me being Mr. Fun.
Can't wait.
He walked over and he goes, "Hey, my friends want to know why you're so grumpy." And because they were at the bar and I was sitting over there with Ron and Chuck and I was like, what? And they go, yeah, everybody wants to know why you look so grumpy. I'm like, this is just my face, man.
It's called RDF.
He goes, I told him that you weren't in a bad mood or grumpy. That's just how you are. And I was like, yep. So, yeah, apparently I put off a not fun vibe.
Yeah, there's a RBF and RDF. RBF is resting bitch face, and you have resting dick face.
Resting dick face.
You just look like a dick.
That's good to know. Yeah.
All cylindrical and penis shaped.
I'm just tired.
Constantly.
I'm just constantly tired. Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned that. I figured out that I put off the not fun vibe sometimes. But
Sometimes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm being kind to myself.
Well, stop.
Oh.
Yeah.
I lied. I'm going to get through that glass.
Okay. I'm about to say it's Breckenridge. You better not pour that shit out.
Fuck no, I would pour it out. I'd save it for breakfast.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. October, going to Breckenridge.
Oh, no shit. Oh, we're going to be in Denver in October also.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Katie's planning a long weekend at Breckenridge.
Oh, maybe we'll come meet up with you guys.
Yeah. What
Because it's right over there by Denver.
Yeah, it's close.
Kat's going for work.
Gotcha.
So she's going to go visit a couple labs. And we met some people down in Belize
Oh, yeah.
that are from Denver. So going to meet up with them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to visit the distillery.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Well-
Is that somewhere we should be allowed into? Or
I hope so.
go ahead and wheel the stretchers out now. You know.
Be invited back. That's
Right.
what I'm shooting for. I'm buying a barrel.
Yeah.
I'm getting someone to buy a barrel. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to to that because they have a huge variety.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we don't get a ton of it over here. You know, we usually get like the select and then the standard, which the standard's fucking great, but they have a big lineup. So
Yeah. I got on their website and started looking and I'm like, I'm going to own one of those one day. I'm going to own one of those one day. just to have.
just to have them.
Yep.
Yeah.
A nice collection. But shifting gears, my conversation with Heath Treasure.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was so good. And, kind of segue into the content here tonight. When he was talking about culture and he talks about how, everybody thinks they have a culture. And I'm like, fuck, is that true, dude? Like I think back to our first crew and where you think you're at. And then, now that we're a year past it, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe we didn't, And when you look at the way we operate now and the crews that we have and the culture that we do have, like we made so many different changes in the way we interact with people that it's like, okay, well, I think we're starting to get it, and it's one of those things you can go in there and believe something all day, but then the proof's in the pudding. You lose your entire crew, everybody bails on you. You're like, oh, we didn't have the fucking the culture that we thought we did. And so I mean, we're going to talk about culture and what that means and what that looks like and kind of how to navigate those waters. But it was I think you put it really well, that you think you have culture.
I also like that he uses culture as a metric when he's considering buying a company.
That makes total fucking sense, right? I mean, especially if you're coming in and if you're going to acquire a business and you're going to make a bunch of changes, if you don't have a good culture, everybody's going to fucking leave. And that's going to be a bad place for you to be in. Like if you want to get up and running, now all of a sudden you don't have anybody that knows the systems. If there were any to begin with, you don't have anybody that can run the equipment, depending on if it's quality equipment or not. Every piece of equipment after 5-6 years of use, there's little tricks to using that fucking equipment now, like it's been worn in and things don't work exactly properly. So, but you got to have that retention there if you're going to be purchasing a business,
Which leads really to what I think is the $1 million question of culture is how do you measure culture?
That's a great fucking question. I don't have an answer to.
I don't have a direct answer, but I think there are side metrics that help determine the quality of a culture. One, the big one is turnover. I mean, that every company has turnover. So just because you have turnover doesn't make you a bad company. the reason for turnover determines the quality of the culture. So looking at turnover, I think, is a really good side metric. The camaraderie amongst the team, although it's not tangible, I think it's also a really good metric for culture.
Yeah. I mean, if your guys are hanging out on the weekends, you know, they're hanging out outside
or
of
after work, having a beer.
Yeah. Something like that, you know, if you hear about, you know, they went out golfing on the weekend or something like that's a good sign.
They, you know, we had a lot of guys that would stay after work and have one or two beers. And I'm pretty sure because it's been a long time now. I think we put a 2-beer limit on our after work hangout. Just because it was becoming too much fun.
Right.
That just,
Yeah. You don't want people partying in your fucking shop at the end of the shift.
And, but what a great metric of culture is the guys want to be around each other.
Right.
The team wants to be around each other. When you have inter-department conflict, which the business term is silos, that's not a healthy culture.
Right.
You may have good teams and still have a bad culture because the teams are fighting each other.
Right.
You have those interdepartment conflicts and you have those silos, and you have Team A bitching and complaining about Team B or Department C. That's not a good culture.
Right.
Culture has to be fluid throughout.
Yeah, you need cohesiveness between all departments.
Synergy, cohesiveness, good communication, which comes to leadership, right?
Right.
Let's just face it. Like the tip of the spear of culture is leadership. And when you look at other operating metrics of culture, how I think this is another side metric is how much are the individuals on your team willing to invest in themselves?
Yeah. Are they willing to pick up and do the extra shit? And, you know, we're going through that right now. We gave our guys a list of things that they have to accomplish in order to get to top pay rate. And, you know, there's a bunch of stuff on there. They got to be able to set elevation. They got to be able to lay out stairs. They got to be able to weld with a blocked, uncomfortable position 30 feet in the air. So we're setting up all these tests. Well, we're also setting up workshops. So it's like every other week, you know, we work 4/10s. So every other week on Friday, it goes from 8 to 10 a.m. We did like this week, it's going to be stair layout. So the guys come in, Danny, who's our shop foreman, guy's great at laying out stairs. He's going to host the whole training. So, and I told Danny too, and I think that if you're going to lean on your team members to provide the training for you, your compensation to those team members needs to be higher than what their average pay is. Like this isn't above and beyond. They're giving away high quality information, and it's going to advance your team. You need to take care of that person for that. So like we made a deal with Danny. He's got some tools that he wants. So we're going to buy him the fucking tools. And that's worth way more than whatever his hourly rate was going to be for 2 hours of overtime, you know?
So I talked about that a little bit in the entrepreneur episode, and being able to look at the company and look at yourself in the company and ask the question, is there an opportunity for multiple income streams here? And that might be sales. You know, if you're not in the sales position, maybe you can do sales and you run them on the weekends or the evening, you know, on your time as a salesperson does, or you do training and you can negotiate that.
Right.
And you go, hey, this is what I think my knowledge is worth and the value that I'm bringing is worth. And what I really appreciate about the discussion with Danny was he found more value in acquiring tools than just giving him money.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. It's really, really fucking smart because it adds variety and opportunity to the compensation.
Right. Right.
It's like, yeah, this is what you want. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It'll be here tomorrow.
Right. Okay. Done.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's our agreement.
Right.
To dive into that a little bit though, and this is a conversation I've had multiple times. all the companies say, well, I tell my guys that, if you want to get better, you got to practice on your own time. And then nobody does it. Okay. Because there's no culture of growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and there's no like method to it either.
Aha. So what I explain to people is exactly what you guys are doing. And it's exactly what we did. I said, stop just expecting people to show up on their own time and train. Structure it to where there's an offering and you say, hey, Friday mornings from 8 to 10, this week we're having a workshop and it's covering this.
Mm-hmm.
They get to decide if they show up or not.
Right.
Which also determines their ability to succeed and move forward.
Yeah.
Because the people attending are not getting compensated.
No,
I don't believe in getting paid to practice.
No, and that we're already spending time, material, money, but we're paying Danny to do the whole thing. Like we're putting out enough, and this is to get you to a higher pay scale. So it's like, you got to have a little skin in the game too.
Yeah. I was there when you announced the opportunity structure for Top Pay, and that the workshops were going to be available. And I appreciate the fact that you said, hey, by the way, the individual that's training is getting compensated, but you don't get paid to practice. You don't get paid to train.
Right.
I liked that transparency is there. I like that they know that the trainer's getting paid, because the trainer should fucking get paid. Right? I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah. You're extracting knowledge, wisdom, experience, and information from this individual. There's value. They need to be compensated for it. So I like that you shared that transparency. But back to the structure, back to the method, is we did the same thing. It was like every other Tuesday evening. Hey, I will be here every other Tuesday evening, and I will conduct training. If there's something you want training on, tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to set the agenda. And yes, there were weeks in peak season where nobody was there because they're all still working.
Right.
There were also nights I remember doing electrical training and I had one guy there. But I also remember doing training and I had 10 guys there.
Right.
I offered it. There was clear expectation. There was structure and a method to it. And then they got to decide. That is cultural. That is allowing a culture of growth and opportunity. Because if you've got the same guy that doesn't show up to training month after month after month after month, and then that guy comes up and says, hey, man, I'd like to talk to you about getting a raise.
Right.
Oh. You haven't been to any of the trainings in the last 4 months. How come?
Yeah. Now you got something to lean on. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, this stuff's kind of it's a great way to find out who your toxic people are. I want more money. Well, you don't show up to these things. Yeah, but I mean, everybody else is making this money, and it's like,
right.
Well, you didn't do what everybody else did, so tell me where I'm fucking wrong. Then, I mean, the cool part about having a great culture too is that when you have a great culture and you have a culture based around growth and performance and stability, all of these things that go into it, it makes it really easy for people to excuse themselves when they know that they're not going to do the fucking work to get there. It's like, here's your roadmap. I don't want to do that. I'm like, get the fuck on. I mean, and that's the thing. If you want to come in and you have a clear-cut path and you don't do any of the work and you're going to complain about the pay scale still, fuck you. Get the fuck out. Are you going to make me fire you, or are you just going to quit? Because to me, that's a huge slap in the face that I know you're capable. You're just unwilling. And if all the rest of the team is out here busting their fucking ass and doing the extra shit and going the extra mile, and you're just standing in a corner complaining, you don't deserve to be here. So you can either, and the thing is, like, the team starts pushing on him. The team starts calling him out for low quality shit. They start calling him out for not getting things done quick enough. They start calling him out for not putting in the extra effort. Nobody wants to stay in that environment for very long.
No.
So they'll excuse themselves. I don't have to fucking deal with it.
And the leadership determines the culture by the tolerance. How long are you going to tolerate the behavior?
Right.
everybody knows, I hope everybody knows listening that we believe on erring on the side of coaching people up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe we take a little too long sometimes to fire, but I never lose sleep about that decision when we do.
Right.
And I would prefer to err on the side of coaching people up or coaching people out, as opposed to making emotional decisions and be like, well, your performance sucks and your attitude sucks and you need to fucking go.
Yeah. But if we've given you every avenue
That's right.
possible to do it and you just don't fucking do it, hey man, it was your decision, not mine.
Yep. So there's another avenue that runs really, really close to the one that you're talking about. And the one that you're talking about is accurate. The other one is when you impose higher expectations on someone than they want.
Mm-hmm.
They may be a great team member. They may be great at the skill, but they might be the best fit at a level 2 and not the top.
Right.
And high-performing leaders make the mistake that they try to push everyone to the top position. And ultimately you end up pushing people out because they're going to agree to try to please their leader, to try to satisfy, the wants and needs of their leader, and then they're going to work in an area that's outside of their operational capacity. So you've got to be careful not to mix the two. Mm-hmm. And you got to understand, and I got this message probably a month ago, and he told me, he said, man, he goes, I'm having a hard time with this guy in my shop, and he's not wanting to step up, and he's not wanting to elevate, and, this, and this. And I told him, I said, hey, the seats in the back of the bus need people in them too. Mm-hmm. And he sends me back and he goes, fuck, you're right. And it's so easy to see what we believe to be potential in someone, and we want them to be great because we care.
Right.
And we want them to be successful because we didn't have those opportunities. And we ultimately create friction and resistance on these people because we want them to be in a position that they don't want to be in. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make them bad people for the team, and it doesn't even negatively affect the culture.
Right.
It's recognizing that, hey, if you want to be at this position, this is where you're happy, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
We have an agreement.
Yeah. Who the fuck am I to tell you otherwise, And I mean, we've made that mistake plenty of times where we've pushed on people too hard and it drove them away. And, they're at other places and they're doing less and they're happier. And it's like, okay. Mm-hmm. That's not our decision to make for people,
What's interesting about that, though, is often you find out that those people are happier and they're making less money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost a contradiction because the conversation that they have with you is they want more money. The reality is they want to be left alone with the responsibilities that they have in the areas that they best fit. Mm-hmm. And when we try to push them out of that, they're like, well, I'd like to make more money. That's why the fucking role, the last conversation we had, the roles, responsibilities, and expectations, they have to have that roadmap. If you choose to stay in this position or this position meets your operational capacity, it's written right here what the monetary maximum is.
Right.
For that position. Mm-hmm. It's right here. If there's other things that you can do to add value, again, back to the training example, where you can be compensated, I'm okay with that. But the position here is compensated for this. And again, for high performers, it's really difficult for us to look at that and go, why would they be satisfied with that? Mm-hmm. And when the reality is they couldn't be fucking happier.
Right, right.
So we've got to stop pushing people out of those positions that they want to be in.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And you have to like swallow your own pride on that end. You feel like you can turn anybody into a rock star and you feel like you can persuade anybody to do better for themselves, but some people just don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. They don't give a fuck. They do good enough in the position that they're in. And dude, I mean, there's a lot of people in this younger generation that they're just work's not life for them.
Right.
And good for fucking them, dude. That's outstanding. They'd rather spend more time with their fucking kids or some hobby that they have outside of work. Work is just a means to get them to that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's what a fucking job should be.
Right.
You know, let them be. Let them do that.
But good employees can think that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they will show up every day for you.
Yeah.
And they will perform in the role that you have them in. Our brain doesn't work that way.
Right.
But that's why we also own the companies.
Right.
I used to envy people that just used work as a means.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That clock in, clock out, and they don't give a fuck.
Right.
And they have these hobbies and they have these other things. And I used to be like, man, wouldn't that be nice?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just know it's not the life for me.
Right.
A 4-hour work week is a fast track to alcohol and bad decisions.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And plus, I'm going to get bored.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a reality. So
I haven't found enough satisfaction in a hobby to be able to use that as some sort of a crutch from the real, like, meaningful work that I do, whether that's, you know, football or, you know, the business or the podcast. Like, these are the things that I have to get some sort of level of fulfillment out of it, you know? And
what's interesting though, is you look at those and I mean, I don't have any hobbies either, but all of my stuff is connected.
mm-hmm.
I don't have this one thing out in left field where I'm just like, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah. We all know you crochet on the weekends, all right?
Underwater basket weaving.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's like, you know, everything I do is all interconnected to this. Like, this is connected to the coaching, and the coaching is connected to business, and the business is connected to self-development, and self-development's like, it's all
Same realm.
It's all part of the same realm for me. And, you know, people think I'm a bit crazy, but I'm like, this brings me so much joy
Right.
and heartache that I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I really do.
Right. It's like a kick in the nuts and a kiss on the mouth all at the same time.
Tug and kiss.
Yeah.
Tug and kiss. What are we doing? Now, that being said, something I've learned about myself, and I think this really aligns with culture, because home culture, right, is super important. But Katie is one of the only people on the planet that has permission to tell me when I'm racing towards the edge.
She's probably the only one that knows when you're racing
Probably.
towards the edge.
Yeah. And we've also talked about the strategy behind it. And I told her, I said, it's if you come up to me and go, I think you need to take some time off, I'm going to be like, no, I don't.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to go harder into the paint. And
That's it. The reason why I can't call you out on that is because I'm going to beat you to the edge. So I'm going to turn this into a fucking foot race.
I feel like, you just passed me. What are you talking to me for? I said, what approach will work? I said, if you see me head in that direction, just in conversation or dinner or something one night, go, hey, I think we should take a long weekend away. I said, I'll never tell you no.
Right.
You know, a long weekend away with her? Absolutely. Fucking sign me up. I said, that approach will work for me because I know it's important to you. And I know it's something that you want to do, and you're not trying to tell me what to do, because I don't do well with that. So, you know, that for us is a form of communication, and, you know, that's cultural for us at home. And there's some give and take, right? It's like, it also goes back to, like, if I failed to communicate why I'm doing something, then she just sees the what, and she's like, you're burning it down.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
If she is fully involved in the why and understands my destination and where I'm going, then she knows. And that's great. I'm internally grateful for it.
I mean, as if communicating with men wasn't hard enough, or dealing with blue collar men, but high performing blue collar men, about just stubborn as they fucking come, and we're fucking borderline retarded. You know, like, it's not like we really know what we're doing. We're just beating our head against the wall until something happens.
It's like my friend Bradley says, I'm too dumb to quit.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Dude, I was at I won't get I'll spare the detail and just go straight to the piece of the conversation. This young lady said to me, "Hey, can you find me a liberal blue collar man?" And I was like, I didn't say it, but what I wanted to say was he already has a boyfriend. That's what I wanted to say.
That's funny.
So
Because like there was that whole there was a whole Southern Democrat thing. The Democrats were all for the unions and shit, and they just went way far left, and now they're liberal, and it's like, don't confuse the two.
Right.
Those are very different things.
So,
that's funny
yeah,
though.
yeah. That's what I wanted to say.
He's an electrician.
Shout out to my buddy Greg.
Take that, Greg. I'll get you that P&L soon.
Oh man, when we were in our our prime, when we were just crushing it as a company, we had a 4% turnover in our company. 4%, because it was a metric that I measured, and I could look at that number and look at it and go, yeah, like people want to be here.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because I think another metric of culture is who you're attracting.
Mm-hmm.
I said this in our conversation with Ray and Tony. The team you have right now, and I've been working, for Battleborn a couple days a week. I mean, the team you have right now, it's unbelievable. And I told Matt this today too, in our conversation. I said, first of all, I am the grunt in that company. Yeah. Okay.
I think Alex is above you. So
yeah, everyone has a skill set in that company that I do not have.
Right.
And I love it. Right. I take a lot of pride in being the bottom guy, right? Because I have to work harder, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, means you're learning something.
I'm learning something. And I said, but, watching the team interact, and even for me, I said, there's not a person in that company, if I was like, hey, I don't understand this, or hey, can you help me with this, or hey, this is what we need to do, this is what I need you to do. Not a single person in that company would be like, go fuck yourself. Like, yeah. I know more than you. Right?
Yeah.
They'd be right. But that culture, it's a good identifier is as to who you're attracting.
And I think another good point to that too is we've got some big jobs coming up, and we're having to re-up on manpower. And so we always throw it out there to the team first. We're like, hey, if anybody has anybody that that their skill set, their attitude, and their attention to detail will work here, let us know. We'd much rather bring in people that you guys know and get along with already. Not a single person rose their hand. And I ended up asking one of the guys about it. I'm like, dude, do you know anybody? And he's like, look, dude, none of my friends got what it takes to fucking be with Battleborn. And like, that was such a huge compliment,
Yeah.
Like, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, you guys take the standard that seriously that, even your friends, you're like, they're not going to cut it here. I ain't put my name on that one.
Yep.
And it's like, fuck, dude. Like, as much as we wanted them to give us somebody to fucking hire, it's like, like, especially John, John's been around the block, and, he's dealt with some places. He's like, the fucking slapdicks I worked with, like, I ain't going to bring him in here.
He's one guy I've not got to spend much time with yet.
Yeah, he's in the field a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a field guy for sure.
Yeah. And I'm either drilling holes in something or, last week I was partnering with Zach, which I'm going to be partnering with Zach tomorrow. Which I'm totally stoked about.
Yeah.
We immediately.
Zach's fun to work with.
Yeah. We immediately just clicked and we just got shit done. And we was working for an old guy, old Vietnam vet.
Oh, with that C-Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You give me a crusty old guy, which I make the joke.
You do love you a good crusty old dude.
They're my spirit animal.
Right?
They are my
No, they're you.
So true. So true. And you could tell, like, right out of the gate, like, he was testing to see if you were going to fuck with him or not.
The old guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I picked up on it really quick. Zach did not. So he's taking Zach down these paths of bullshit.
Right.
And I'm just sitting back and I'm fucking dying inside. And the old man looks at me and he kind of winks. And I mean, not that Zach was failing, because he was like doing everything. He's like, yeah, absolutely, sir. We can take care of that. We can do that. Yeah, bring that by the show. This guy's making up shit out of thin air
Right.
and just really seeing how far he can take it, you know, with Zach. And I loved it, right? I loved it because his primary focus culturally was serving the client, right? And I think it's also another great metric. Like, how well does your team serve the client?
Dude, and you know, for us at the shop, it's fucking great, dude, because anybody walks up, I don't even bother reading people anymore. I wait to see who's I'll stand outside the fucking window and watch the interaction happen, you know. But anybody will walk up, hey, how you doing today? What can we do for you? You know, super friendly, and you know, everybody's big and bearded, and you know, we finally have some fucking men in the shop.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's great to watch. They all jump at the opportunity to go talk to a client, you know, and that's fucking great, you know. Like you said, that fucking 1,000-yard stare where somebody's just like deer in the headlights, like, person, what do I do? Right. Our guys are like, they're all over it, you know. They want to be the face of Battleborn Welding to these clients. And
they do. They take a lot of pride in it, and I think it's such a great metric to see. And if you want to know how to measure that, what feedback are your clients giving you? People fall into the trap of no news is good news. That's very specific. That's very situational.
That's contract world.
It is.
You know, if you're dealing with the general public, that's not how that works. I mean, we get calls all the time from clients. There was one that called Matt the other day after Zach went out and dealt with some lady somewhere. She called and she's like, that was the most polite, professional young man I've ever had out here. And it's like, dude, to get those phone calls, it's like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. But that's the metric. And that's the metric of the culture. Something else that you've got to be observant of, though, is culturally, what do the people on your team say about the other people on the team to the customer? You've got to be in tune with that.
Right.
I worked for a company eons ago that their whole the culture was talking shit about everybody else.
Oh, good.
That was the culture.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, it's great. And I remember I would start going to these homes because I never played that game. I've never talked bad about anybody that I've worked with or even the company I worked for to a customer, regardless of the situation.
Right.
I'm not dragging that shit in. And I would go there and I would do the work, and the customer would bring it up. You're the first person that we've had in here that didn't complain about the people you worked with or the company you work for. They would tell me that.
Wow. What? I don't get that. I don't get it. Like, you worked for the company, you're complaining to the customer about the company?
About the company and about the people that you work with.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Again, it's a good metric. It's a great identifier as to the quality of culture that you have. The mornings. I think this was probably my favorite. I'm just going to call it a metric. My favorite metric to our culture was our Tuesday morning meetings.
That, and Matt can attest to that. And Matt was telling me about you. He fucking loved those Tuesday morning meetings.
Because, like, it was literally the only hour of the week where everybody in the company was together. Because our install crews started at a different time than our service technicians. Half the time our service guys dispatched from home. Our sales guys ran their own schedule. Like, we didn't have everybody in the building at the same time. The few occasions it did, I usually had to break it up and be like, hey, hey, we got work to do, guys, because they love being around each other. But for me, the Tuesday mornings, everybody always showed up early. They always bullshit. They would literally like high five and fist bump and, hey man, what's been going on? And they would talk to each other and they would hang out with each other. And then we had the meeting, and then it was just this full, like, energetic force, this momentum forward, you know, as a culture. And I was lucky enough to get to lead that.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, it was like the battle of the Spartans. Like everybody got up from those meetings like every week. And
ripped
was like,
their shirt off.
Yeah. And, you know, that's how it was.
Yeah.
And you know, what an awesome, not just something to be a part of, but again, something to see and understand that, like, again, when the meeting broke, the other thing too was you could immediately see my installers and the coordinator. They were having their huddle. All my service techs were around Mama D's desk going over the schedule. You know, I would be talking to whoever I need to be talking to. The sales guys were doing their shit. They would come out of it and immediately go into executing their role.
Right.
And I don't want to glamorize it. It wasn't perfect because there were many days where I was like, what are you still doing in my fucking building right now?
Right.
You know, I'll never forget Robbie. Great nuts and bolts guy. Like very, very super mechanical. You know, I remember him. He was in the shop. Everybody was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked out there and Robbie's walking around the parts aisles. Robbie, what are you doing? He goes, and he drops his head and he goes, I'm stalling. I said, Robbie, the fuck out of my building and go stall somewhere where I can't see you. Seriously. Why would you stay here?
Right.
Go to the fucking gas station.
Yeah. I'm gonna find you.
Get out of my sight.
Right.
You know? So that leads me into another metric of culture is how well does your team or your individuals respond to positive and negative reinforcement?
Mm-hmm. That's a fine line to walk to, you know, finding out how hard you can push. You know, I believe more in positive reinforcement, but the more football's gone on, I realized the outcomes of negative reinforcement are beneficial sometimes, and there's a time and a place for it. And I don't think you need to kiss everybody's ass all the time and tell them how fucking great they are. I think there's times where you need to fucking get after people. And, you know, we were kind of talking about it before we started. Like, I didn't realize how much of a fucking pussy everybody is. You know, I didn't realize how hard-nosed we were coming up, you know, like how kind of unique it was. And a lot of people need to get hit in the fucking mouth now and again and rattle their cage. And I'm not saying physically punch somebody in the face, but rattle their fucking cage, get up somebody's ass and fucking holler at somebody and let them know that what they're doing is not okay. And I think the time on the football field has brought a little bit more of that out in me lately. And I tend to be a little sharper with people when it comes to whether that's contract negotiations, you know, and that, dude, talk about a great place to put your fucking foot down. It's like the contract negotiations. I ain't in there to suck nobody's fucking dick. This is what I need to make the job work. You don't want to do that? Fuck you. I'm on my way. You know, so it's like, it's opened my eyes quite a bit to, you know, I feel like everything went pretty far soft. And I don't want to go too far the other direction. I don't want to be a fucking tyrant, you know?
Well, I think it's similar to what Heath said. If you ask anybody, nobody tells you they have a bad culture. I think if you ask anyone, no one will tell you that they're not tough.
Right.
So it goes back to understanding what is your metric of tough? What is your measurement of hard and difficult?
Right.
And me, I actually never thought that I was tough because the second I did, I was reminded.
Yeah. Life showed you real quick.
Whether it was life, I mean, again, growing up, being raised by the Graybeards, like, that shit just don't fly.
Right.
You know?
No, they're about to make you tough if you think you're tough.
Yeah, you're going to get greased and shoved in a dumpster.
Right.
And so
they will fist fight a 12-year-old in a back parking lot.
I was 13 when I started working with these guys. You know, there was no fucking around.
Right.
And the moment that, literally the second that you got a little bit of swagger, you were getting chopped down.
Pop. Yep.
Absolutely. And what's brilliant is, you know, I look back of being raised like that in the trades, and I never remember hating it.
Dude, I didn't know that was something to be hated. I thought that was just a part of life.
It was a part of life,
Yeah.
and it was also tribal.
Mm-hmm. Well, like football was a great example of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all out there beating the fucking shit out of each other. And football was a lot different when I played 20 years ago than it looks now. And it's like we were out there trying to take each other's fucking heads off. And the coaches had to draw us back in. And but that was part. We wanted to be out there doing that. We craved that, and the tribalism that came with it.
That was the thing, is when you didn't measure up, you tried harder the next time.
Right.
And you didn't fucking give up.
Yeah. You didn't go, oh, well, that guy's better than me. Fuck you. Get the fuck off my field.
Yeah. And it was, I didn't play sports, but it was the same way for me growing up, in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And again, being raised by the graybeards, and it was the same way. Like, you just figured it out, and you did better, and you worked harder, and you generated the result.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't quitting wasn't an option, and neither was fucking complaining.
Right. Yeah. Not like anybody was going to listen if you did.
No, you're going to catch something to the side of the fucking head. And, thinking back about that, even, again, that's so cultural. How well does your team hold each other accountable?
Mm-hmm.
And how hard do they push each other? I think that is all culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's all culture. And again, like I don't remember, looking back, I'm like, yeah, I probably worked at a capacity that a 14-year-old child shouldn't, and it probably made me pretty calloused and maybe even tougher than I would admit, but
sucked the fun right out of you, Josh.
Really did. Yeah, I really did. I wasn't allowed to have fun.
Right.
I mean,
you're still not.
I'm still not. No, I wasn't allowed. I kind of feel that way. Other than out in the country, riding ATVs and shit, shooting guns and camping. But yeah, it was like, I mean, you have that again, the culture. Like, you can bullshit, with the guys that you work with, and I mean, I worked, I was raised by some pretty interesting characters in the trades.
Right.
Pretty interesting character.
That's all we got, man.
Yeah,
just interesting characters.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, I know Matt knows who John is, but but to this day, like, I haven't seen John in probably 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear to God, if he walked in the door, I'd hug that motherfucker.
Yeah. He picked right back up where he left it 20 years ago.
And that dude was so fucking hard on me.
Right.
He was crazy.
Right.
He was fucking crazy. He had tattoos showing that we're not politically correct or racially correct, and jail and prison and never had a driver. Like, dude was just a hard motherfucker, like a hard fucking guy. And he was hard on me because he liked me.
Right.
And he was one of the guys that raised me in the trades. And how fucking great. And I think it's interesting that, to your point, that people don't want resistance anymore. They want convenience.
Right.
And they because we choose the path of least resistance. And people can say this is a generational issue or whatever. It's human nature to choose the path of least resistance. We've just continued to migrate to creating a less resistive path.
Right.
And we're seeing the result of that.
Yeah, it's called AI. Congratulations. You don't have to do shit anymore.
To do anything. Complete sidebar, there is something called, I think it's called Sightful. It is a, you put on these glasses and you have this keyboard, and it's basically an Iron Man, like Tony Stark.
Oh.
Fucking like multi-computer screen that only you can see in your glasses.
It's going to be so weird being the people that don't wear these glasses, and then you're just watching everybody like do all this weird shit with their hands, and they're looking up and down and around, and you're just...
Yeah. It's like somebody trying to get a spider web off
Right,
of them.
yeah.
You're like, what the fuck is wrong with that
you're
guy?
just standing there being a human, being a weirdo. Yeah.
Is he dancing? I hear no
Is he
music.
walking on his own 2 feet? Is that what those are for?
But that's the thing, is the convenience aspect of it. And, cultural, again, back to being tribal, is what is that tribal hierarchy? Look like. I had this conversation with one of my clients. I think it was actually yesterday. It was Monday, and he's like, yeah, he's got a 19-year-old guy who works for him 99% of the time. This kid's great. He works hard. He does everything, but he was like, yeah, he got like mouthy with me the other day. It was like starting to push back, and because I was starting to
straighten him the fuck out,
starting to outline some expectations, and he said, what really happened is that he got complacent because I was having him do the same stuff over and over and over again, and he just found this groove, and it was not very resistive to him. And I told him, I said, he's 19. He's got more dick than brain.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I said, the human brain isn't fully developed till around 25 anyway. For some men, it's never.
I'm still working on it.
But I said, look at him. I said, look at you when you were 19. Look at us when we were 19. I said, if you really peel it back and you think about the tribal aspect of young men, it was their responsibility to fight for their place in the tribe. I said, that's all he's doing.
Right.
It's his animal instinct to find his place in the tribe. Even though there's only two of you there,
there's still a hierarchy.
He's going to challenge the leader.
Yeah.
And I said, so if you understand that as the leader and as the business owner, if you understand that, you can attack the problem, not the person. Right? Don't take it personal.
Right.
He's 19.
Right.
He's fucking retarded.
Piss and vinegar, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Because his testosterone is through the roof. I wish I had the testosterone of a 19-year-old. I said that's healthy. I said you can't look at that as a problem. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of leaders make is they look at opposition as a problem.
Yeah. How dare you challenge me?
Motherfucker, you're at the top.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played King of the Hill or King of the Mountain growing up, but it's everyone's job to knock you down.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Everybody wants to complain that the next generation's not striving for anything, and then it's like, well, okay, then they step to you, and you're like, well, they can't do that. Well, what the fuck do you want?
Stop suppressing
Yeah,
them.
what do you want? What do you want? I want them to do more, just not that much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just not come after me.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Dude, it's the human nature. It's our human hierarchy to challenge the leader.
Right.
Duh. So, and again, I think, to my last point on culture is how often are the people in your team challenging you for the right thing?
Yep.
And I think when I think back at some of the emotional decisions I made, so I had a young man decide he wasn't going to come to work one day because there was a situation that had evolved, and he was like, I don't agree with this, and I don't think it's right. And I was not as good at controlling my emotions back then as I am now. So I was fucking irate. And I said, you can either come do the job or you can come get your fucking tools. Those are your choices. And he made the decision that he was going to come get his tools. So I went into the office, and Mama D obviously knew what was going on, just probably by my body language and energy. And I said, so-and-so just decided to fucking quit. And she was like, what happened? So I kind of walked her through it. And shortly after that, her and my lead service tech both came to me, and they said, we don't agree with your decision. And I was like,
nostril flare.
I'm sorry. And they explained to me why. And sure shit, he kept his job. But how fucking excellent is that of a culture
Right.
where they said, we don't believe this is the right decision. This is what we believe. This is why, and we're going to stand by it. And they were 100% right.
Shit.
And I mean, he was one of my fucking best technicians.
Mm-hmm.
He was literally my best installer. By the time it was done, like he was literally my best installer.
Mm-hmm.
But my team and my culture allowed them, encouraged them, give them permission, empowered them to say, we don't agree with this.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
What a great culture.
I agree.
You know, was it great in the moment? No, I wanted to fucking fire everybody. Let's be real.
I'll run in and operate this company
Yeah.
by myself.
I wasn't calm and methodical about my decisions and about the conversation. I was fucking irate.
Right.
You know, it's easy to talk about in this condition, but I was fucking out of my mind, man.
Fuck all of you.
Yeah,
Right.
I was like, I was having a fucking tyrannical moment, and I erased 2 terabytes of information. I was like, I'm about to fucking throw this thing into that brick wall.
I was waiting for it.
I was really, I'm like, just do not break anything. So you know that when you look at the operations, you really got to step back and go, what is my culture? What are metrics that I use to measure my culture? What are great identifiers of my culture? And what am I tolerating?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What am I tolerating? What am I encouraging? And for people to be able to step back, and the leaders especially, they have to understand that they set the pace for the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think personally, it's the most valuable ingredient in the success of a company.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Yeah. I think it'll take you very far, and I think that it'll keep people around. And I think that if you don't understand the necessity of retention of good people, you're in the wrong place.
Yep.
You know, you spend so much time with these people, training them, and if you're doing it right, you're training them and building them up and coaching them up. And if you're okay with people just walking out because of dumb little shit, you're gonna have a hard fucking time.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Especially if you let your ego get in the way.
Oh, we should do a whole podcast on that.
Yeah.
I agree. Ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I sure am. Do you
All
see me
right.
glazed over yet?
I am, I think. I'm fucking mentally tapped out. You can find Nate on Instagram at Nate Newton 87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.